I know like another kind of thing that your parents would kind of enforce on you is, the dating aspect. You kind of touched upon that earlier, where, it was hard for you to go out and date a boy or have a boyfriend. So tell us what would happen kind of if, your parents would find out that you had a boyfriend. What kind of punishment would that entail? I know you kind of touch upon that in the book a little bit, so I kind of want to hear about that.
Like this whole dating thing, it's seen as like it's like seen more like a crime. Like you're not supposed to be doing this. They're not supposed to be having anything before marriage type of thing. And so because of that, like a lot of the people they still do, but it's like behind their parents' back. Like no one knows what you're doing. But if you get caught, like there are consequences. And I feel like it changes between whether you're female or male. Because I feel like for male it's so much easier. But if you're female, I feel like there are very harsh consequences. And I've seen this. Like I've actually witnessed it because I've seen my own friends who basically got caught like talking on the phone with their boyfriend or got caught like on the street, and then as a consequence they would be like sent back home in Bangladesh to get married, but they wouldn't get married to their boyfriends. They would just get married to someone that the parents would choose. And for some reason I don't know
Wow.
why the community thinks that's the solution to the problems, because they're like, okay, we'll just give her away to like this new family, they will take care of her, they will fix her. That's how they like to see it, and that's how like all the problems will be solved. Because the whole issue is that if someone gets caught, the the whole thing is that it's gonna look bad in the reputation. Like it's just gonna taint the reputation of the family, even though in like other communities not seen like that anymore. So that was the main concern. Like if you do get caught doing things that you're not supposed to be doing before getting married, then these are the consequences. And I've seen it with a lot of people that I know.
Yeah.
Then what happened is some of these girls they stayed in the relationship, and some others they actually went through a divorce, because like this is absurd. I feel like
Right.
I also feel like the things have changed through time, because yes, this was forbidden. Even now no one wants you to date, but because we have evolved, there are people that do date, and then eventually when they're ready to get married they introduce the person and be like, okay, this is the person I've been dating. And it's somehow like they're accepting of this whole dating thing, because then when it's time to get married it just gets harder to find someone. So that's why they're open to for you to find someone, so at least when it's time for you to get married we don't have to go through the struggle of like finding someone for you.
This kind of punishment almost where, they bring you back to Bangladesh and they force you to an arranged marriage. Is that something that's like really widespread in like South Asian cultures, or is that kind of, certain people where it's like that?
So I don't know if you watched the TV show that there is right now on Netflix, the Indian matchmaking. I don't know if
I
you.
saw a little
I
bit of it.
haven't seen
Okay,
it,
Yeah.
no.
those are arranged marriages. They do exist. They do happen.
Yeah.
I don't think there is anything wrong with those. I would say that things have changed between how it was done back in the days and how it's done right now. Because back in the days, what would happen is that you just show a picture of a potential candidate, and if both parties says, "Oh yes, I like her," that's it. The next thing you know is that there is a wedding that it's set, and basically they like to believe that first is marriage, and then you learn how to appreciate and love the person. And so this
Yeah.
is how it was. They do work, because I've seen, like I have all my uncles and aunts, they got married this way. They are still together with their partners. But nowadays, and this is how it's shown on Indian matchmaking, which is what happens right now, is that you have potential candidates. So you have a resume that says like where you're born, your age, your height, where your hobbies, where your parents, if you have siblings, what you have studied, and stuff like that, where you work. That's it. And then you give it out to people. And then if there's like a match based on like interest, then you have the two families getting together, and if the two people like each other, then they get to know each other. So they get to know each other, and then if they want to go forward they're gonna like exchange numbers, and then after that they will decide if they want to date, be in a relationship, and then they will decide whether or not they want to get married to each other. So this is how it's being done right now. I've seen it. I do see, like I have an aunt who tries to match people. So
Interesting. Okay.
it does happen. There is also love marriage. In love marriage it's like you do it behind your parents' back, and then once you're ready you just tell them, okay, this is the person I
Okay.
want to get
It's the
married to.
person I
Yeah.
want.
So
Okay.
Why do you think some arranged marriages work? Like, thinking about that, it seems like, it would be forced and, there'd be, like you mentioned, there are a lot of divorces, I'm sure, that result from arranged marriages. But why do you think some of them work?
I think the reason why they work is because because divorces are seen as a taboo. And so people would never say anything about it. They were just so afraid about their whole reputation, or what the community would think, that they would be like, okay, I just accept this is my truth, this is my reality, I'm just gonna go forward with that, which is why no one would like go against it. But nowadays, whether it's like love or arrange, I do see that when someone is unhappy, they do take the step to like, okay, I just want to be out of this. So I would say before it was just the fear of speaking up about the issue, but now people are less afraid of like raising the concerns.
Okay. So like, the fear of being shunned by the community or your parents, then you would stay in that marriage. So maybe, some of the arranged marriages that quote unquote worked, it was just because people were fearful of leaving it. So
they weren't truly happy, right?
Maybe,
they were just kind of in it because they had to be.
They just accepted their fate.
Yeah, it could be either way though. Like maybe some people are truly happy.
Yeah.
And it could be that some people are not happy and they still stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think, it's interesting how, the culture and everything has evolved, where there is still that aspect of the arranged marriages, and maybe the parents or family suggesting someone to marry. This whole thing with the Indian matchmaking, it's almost like online dating, but you have a middleman, It's always like, or a lot of times, they arrange the marriage because they want you to get married, not like, mess around, date, get to know. It's like, you'll get to know once we, sign the papers. But I think what I'm getting, from your story and, your book is that arranged marriages could be right, but also maybe dating and finding your own person, your own way could be right too. You're not against one or the other. It's just letting people breathe and just have a bit of freedom and not chastise people and shun them just because they want to choose a different path in life. I think that encapsulates it's
pretty crazy to see the difference between like the Eastern culture, the Western culture. Like here there's all kinds of things like Tinder, and people are just,
this is completely free,
it's completely
here.
free, and no one has a care.
But it doesn't always mean it works or is correct.
See that too, right? I mean, we talked about how some arranged marriages could fail, but people that meet others on Tinder and Bumble and whatever the hell, they
have all the freedom in the world.
They have freedom in the world, but maybe they're not happy as well. It's kind of that too.
Yeah, and they also have like dating apps for like just South Asian, or dating app just for Muslims. So they make it a little bit easier to like narrow it down. The market.
Yeah. So it's like, Dad, I gotta, I'm on a Muslim dating website.
You got to be careful with which kind of apps you're using and things, because you don't know what kind of people you're going to find there as well.
Some people might pretend they're something when they're not. I know.
Yeah.
Like anything.